Humberto, on this question, guys, if Muslims are praying to Muhammad,
Praying to Muhammad? Oh, yeah, I forget. I'm sorry.
it means they're associating Muhammad with Allah.
Yep.
That's the point.
What would this mean for Catholics praying to Mary? Should we condemn that?
No. Okay.
So two things there. One, what does it mean here that Muslims actually pray to Muhammad? Because every Muslim is going to say, "What? No, we pray to Allah." Well, let's talk about what's actually in your prayers.
Yeah. Let me be quite clear. Again, I'm not a Roman Catholic, I'm not an Orthodox, but I do believe we have true believers born of the Spirit in every major branch of Christianity. Amen. So there are born-again Christians who are Roman Catholic, Orthodox. I know some of the Reformed brothers will think I'm becoming ecumenical, be that as it may. The difference between, let's say, someone asking a saint in heaven to pray for them, and the difference between Muslims communicating to Muhammad or asking his intercession is this. Nowhere will you find in the scriptures, this is again a challenge to all my Christian brothers and sisters, that quote unquote prayer, or let's say invocation to God in heaven, or let's say invocation to someone in heaven, is necessarily an act of worship. You won't find it. Whereas Muhammad defined dua, invocation, as the heart of worship. So you understand the difference?
That's right.
In our Christian understanding, prayer is communication. It's not just worship. So when I pray to God, I'm speaking to God, or I'm worshiping God, or a combination of both. But prayer in of itself, prayer meaning when I ask God or speak to God, that's not necessarily worship in of itself. It's communication. So when a Roman Catholic tells me he asks Mary to pray for him, I may disagree with him, I may agree with him, but that asking in of itself is not worship any more than if I ask you to pray for me, it's worship. Now someone said, well, yeah, but he's alive and he understands and he can hear and he's conscious of your request. Well, if you read the scriptures, they can make a strong case that people in heaven are alive, not dead. They're more alive and they're glorified in the presence of Christ. But I'm not here to make a case for the communion of saints. What I'm trying to say is, biblically, prayer in of itself does not necessarily mean worship. It can mean asking, invoking. Muhammad, on the other hand, said, to pray is to worship. Dua is worship. He said it's the heart of worship. So when a Muslim speaks to Muhammad in prayer, that is an act of worship, Islamically speaking, because salah, salawat, dua, according to Muhammad, are all acts of worship.
Just to be clear, because there are lots of people out there who don't know what we're talking about. I have a video on this titled Why Muslims Pray to Muhammad.
Yes.
But clarify for people what is being said. So just to be clear here, right?
Yes.
If you are praying and you say, God, please bless grandma, there you are talking to God about grandma. If you are praying, you're bowed down praying, and you start talking to grandma, there you're talking to grandma. You're not talking to God, you're talking directly to grandma.
Yeah.
And then that would become a question of how you justify or defend that theologically. I talked to a Catholic priest once about, hey, what's going on when you talk to Mary? And he said, well, we don't, and different Catholics are going to give different answers, but he said we don't believe that Mary just miraculously hears everyone wherever we go. We believe that God actually reveals to her what people have said. So they're using that to show that she doesn't have this divine attribute of omniscience, that God actually takes the prayer to her, and then she uses that. She uses that to make requests of Jesus. We don't think like that, but that would be a question for Catholics to justify. The idea here is, once you start talking to someone other than God in your prayers, how are you going to justify that? Well, Muslims actually talk directly to Muhammad
5 times a day
during their daily prayers, right? During their daily prayers. Again, if I say, God, please bless grandma with peace, that's me talking to God about grandma. If I say, oh, I want peace for you, grandma, there I'm talking to grandma during my prayers, right? And don't Muslims speak directly to Muhammad during their daily prayers?
If anyone who would know, it would be Al, because 5 times a day as a Muslim, he would actually say, Assalamu alayka.
That's right.
So can you explain what the part of that
so
prayer?
It's part of the prayer. You pray to Abraham, and you pray also
and you greet Muhammad. You say, peace be upon you, O Prophet, and blessing. Assalamu alayka, ahiyu nabi.
I want to challenge my Muslim
friends. And that was commanded
friends.
by Muhammad.
Yes.
Correct. I want to challenge my Muslim friends.
It's called tashahud.
Can you be a Muslim without invoking Muhammad in the Shahada? that in and of itself, you've already elevated Muhammad to be equal to God.
Yeah.
Right there. I mean, we don't even have to go anywhere beyond
See,
that.
by the way, we just got the Roman Catholics excited. Now they want to say, well, sola scriptura is questionable. See what happened?
You see?
Even though we're
now they're
trying
going to
to
invite you to a Roman
Yeah, yeah.
Catholic church.
Listen,
so you can explain that.
Petros, London, you're more than welcome to come to my Pal Talk room and debate me on sola scriptura, whether it's biblical or not. But that's not the topic.
I suspect you're going to get schooled on that one. So pick a different debate opponent on that one.
Or pick a different name.
Because I've seen some people go after Sam on that one, and it did not turn out well for that one.
Yeah, so let's keep it on Islam.
But the idea is Muslims aren't saying in their prayers, right? And these are the prayers according to Muhammad. Yeah. And if you can even, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, just go to a Muslim site, right? Go to a Muslim video that includes the translation of what's being said.
Yep.
And go to a Muslim video and that's titled something like, what do I recite in prayer as a Muslim?
Tashahhud.
Yeah. And it will give you the Arabic, and keep watching. There's a part where it's peace be upon you, O Prophet, not
Assalamu
God
alaikum.
please bless Muhammad with peace, as if Muhammad, his eternal welfare depends on what you're saying about him now. I mean, do you seriously believe it? Why would you even be saying this?
Yeah.
But that aside, you speak directly. Muslims speak directly to Muhammad during their prayers. It's not God, please, but because this is their response. They say, "What? What's the problem with asking God for peace upon Muhammad?"
You're not asking God.
They're saying, "Peace be upon you." It's you.
Speaking
right?
to
That's
him.
second person. If I
to
say you, then I'm talking to you. And Muslims talk to Muhammad during their prayers. So, like the question for the Catholics would be, how do you reconcile this? How do you reconcile this with your concept of worship and prayer? And with Muslims, I mean, just imagine, because in Islam, they put such an emphasis on not associating any partner with Allah, with purity of worship.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the purest worship in the world. If a Muslim saw any other group, a Christian, a Jew, a polytheist, speaking to a dead or alive in heaven human being during their prayers, they would say, "You mushrik."
You got it.
That's right.
"You infidel, you idolater." Suddenly, when they do it,
It's okay.
it doesn't matter, right? It's the same thing like bowing down to the Kaaba,
Yeah.
right? If they saw anyone bowing down to anything, if they saw people circled around bowing down to this cup, they would say, "That is idolatry." And if I said, no, this is just to mark the direction of the prayer, that's why everyone's bowing down to this cup, they would say, "You liar, you infidel, you idol worshipers, stop this." And yet, here they are circling the Kaaba, bowing down to the Kaaba, kissing the black stone, but it's not idolatry when they do it.
I just want to emphasize this, Al, because I don't want to... Remember, nowhere can someone look at the Bible and look at prayer as meaning exclusively worship of God. I just want to be clear. But this is important. Muhammad said, Salah, salawat, and dua, invocation, Salah, salawat, prayer, are worship. And he says dua, invocation, is the heart of worship. That means when you speak to Muhammad in your prayer, that's worship according to Muhammad's own definition. So it's much more damaging for the Muslim than it is, let's say, for other traditions. So just want to make that clear.